So I'm starting this up again after going out to lunch, and I learned a couple of things. At this point, I think I have the settings dialed pretty nicely. I have 1/16 7014, and I have 30% dig. The amperage is set to 32 amps. My tubing here that I'm using is 049. A couple things I learned is if I'm going to do a restart on an electrode, to always make darn sure that I go like this so I can get a good restart, have some metal exposed. Another thing I learned is something to do with the lighting for the camera, which I'll try to take care of. And just going to keep on going here. Another things I learned is to have the metal all prepped. I have plenty of metal prepped and ready to go, so I'm just going to keep on rolling here. And let's do it. I also learned that if I'm close to the camera, I can speak normally, but if I'm far away from the camera, I probably need to yell. So that's what I'm going to be doing. If I'm far away from the camera, I'll be yelling. Where's my gloves? So this is fun. It's a good time. The way that I prep these is I cut off like where I welded because I'm recycling, and then I put them on a bench grinder, and I went through there with a half round file, and then I went over it with some 60 or 80 grit emery cloth, and then didn't even wipe it off. So that's what you get. It's cold rolled, it's stick electrode, so it seems to be going okay. Another thing I learned from making the videos is to have a good, darn good fit up. Darn good fit up. Because if I have a gap there like this, it's going to go very badly. So good fit up is a good thing. So I'm just going to keep on going here. Let's see, what do I need? I need the electrode holder. And when I start for a new joint, I'm going to start with a new electrode. Like I said, these are 1/16. That's ready to go. I'm going to tack at 90 degrees. Okay, so I don't know why it's not starting. This electrode has an issue. This is apparently not a new electrode. So you see I had a hard time getting the electrode started there. Okay, so I'm having a hard time. One of the reasons is I had moved my ground from here down to here because I thought it might be blocking the camera. So I'm going to put the ground back to here. Another problem is that the electrode really has to be prepped because these electrodes have a tendency to get slag on the end of them. So if I have exposed metal like this, I'm good. And it would appear that my material is not very clean. So I guess I'll try to tack it somewhere else. Having a hard time getting it started. Okay, so here I'm having an epic hard time getting it started. One of the reasons being I'm using a new electrode, which is really long and it's flipping around. So if I use a nub, I don't know the technical name for that, I can have at least some more rigidity. I obviously have a cruddy ground for what I'm doing. See if I can't get her tacked up here. Another problem might be is that this is a short tube here. I might want to start off with a longer tube to get a better ground. Okay, well clearly I'm having a terrible problem with the ground like I have it. So let me start with a longer tube. At this point I'm going to assume that my ground is terrible. So I'm going to start with a longer tube to have more contact for a better ground. This is a nice long tube. I'll lay it on the middle here so there's lots of contact. And I'll consider maybe putting my ground right on the tubing. Man, I have got to get a pipe vise. This is just painful. Okay, so that ought to take care of the ground problem. Maybe my material was kind of icky. All right, so I'm going to use a short electrode, a used electrode, and I'm going to sharpen it, so to speak. I could do this on the bench grinder. What I want is metal. Okay, that is metal. And gosh, I'm having a hard time getting started here. I just wanted to tack it. I was tacking it differently before. I was using some aluminum angle. So this isn't working so far. Finally, so that fixed the problem. Probably what I think the fixed problem is there is more contact for the tube, and then certainly having the ground there. Now I'm going to straighten this out, and it maybe it'll break the tack. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to move the ground over here, and I'm just going to work with this. I need to put a tack 180 degrees away from the other tack. I'm going to move this because the gap opened up. See, this is a terrible fit up. I don't like that fit up at all, so I'm going to break the tack. I'm going to try it again here, over here. Okay, that's good. This is where I broke the tack. Looked like it was a good sturdy tack. So here I am prepping my electrode for a restart. All I need is shiny metal and I can get started. So here I am trying to tack. And I guess I'm going to use this because this is what I was using before and it made for a good, I never had half the problems. works real nicely when I use the aluminum angle. So here I've got a problem with my fit up again. So if I turn it a little bit this way, this is what I'm going to have. So I'm going to do my tacks. Gosh darn it. I need to find a better way to tack this up to where it's straight. So here I am with my new electrode. Going to do tacks at every 90 degrees. Having a heck of a time getting started here today. All right. So yeah, definitely tack 180 degrees away. And I'm going to push down on this. I'm going to push down on this while I'm tacking it. Just having a heck of a time. Okay. Part of the reason is that these things are just so long, always moving around. And they're kind of hard to restart. Kind of a continuing problem. Okay, I got it tacked. Oh boy. You know what's working better is while it's welding, if I hold it like this. That's working way better. I don't like doing that because I've never seen anyone else doing that. I didn't come here to innovate. But I'm going to do what I need to do, so you'll see me doing that over on this side. Because I have a tack here where there's a hole, and then I have a tack at, say, 9 o'clock. So now we're going to get a tack right here, and you'll see me using that method where I kind of grab the electrode here. Yeah, it works real well for a tack. I'm just holding this there and just, you know, at least it stays still. So now I'm in business. I have some concerns about the cleanliness of this material because I had such a hard time getting started. And my fit up here is not too good. It has some issues. So I'm just going to do my thing here. You'll see me going like this a lot. And these rods are getting bent. So I do have a nice seam here to do. I'm almost kind of happy when I have these short rods because when they're long, they just move around so much. Another reason why I might have a hard time getting it started is because everything's cold, because I had gone to lunch. So I could have probably given it a little more amperage since everything's gone cold. Another thing I learned from watching the videos I made was that if I put the camera here, you can see the inside of the pipe. And you can see where it's orange inside the pipe. And you know it's getting through to the other side. Yeah, it's welding a lot colder ever since I came back from lunch. So I'm going to give her one more amp. And I'm going to turn up the dig. The dig is at 35% and the amperage is at 32 amps, obviously. So now I'm going to come along the top here. Okay, so this is going nicely. Pretty soon I'm going to want to give this tube a chance to cool. Okay, that was a lot of heat. There's a hole right here, so I'm just going to work around that. That hole was there from before, from the broken tack. At this point, I'm having to work down at the 6 o'clock position. So I'm going to prep my electrode. Okay. 6 o'clock, huh? Okay, I did that pretty hot, and it looked like it worked out great. I just missed one little part. I'm going to get it now. It's like a tack. Nice and hot. I don't like cold welds. I'm going to hit it again. I think I might have missed a little bit, so I think I might have a low point right here. So I can hit that again. Note that I'm welding over slag, which I think is a bad idea. Yeah, there I was just being ridiculous. So I definitely got it covered now. I'm looking at this seam and it's all good. Except where the hole is. And I guess I'll fix the hole since it's there. It's at 5:30. So that's not helping. That might be making the hole worse. there, I think I may have fixed the hole. So I'm just going to hit it one more time right at 6 o'clock. So this seam is definitely done. And I'm just going to keep it going. Extending the pipe out, trying to get a good fit up. This is how I'm going to tack. I can maybe move the camera a little closer. I've got plenty of tubes that are prepped, and part of the reason I had such a hard time tacking it is there must be some dust or, you know, something here, because I didn't go over these with acetone. So I think my material might be a little dirty. So I was happy with this seam over here. I think if someone was to chip off all the slag and grind it down, I think it might be approaching perfect, if I don't say so myself. So this is going to work. I don't like using a new electrode for a tack because it's too long. I guess I need more precision for a tack weld. So you see a lot of that where I'm getting my electrode ready. I'm intending to tack it at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So that was like a medium tack, probably a serviceable tack. I would have expected that to open a gap in the other side. It didn't really. So I'm going to go to the other side, obviously 180 degrees away. And while I do that, I might push on this a little bit. I don't think it's necessary. And I'm going to sit in the chair so I can be more stable. And I'm going to prep my electrode so it'll restart nicely. All I'm doing here is putting a tack at 9 o'clock. It's an easy job. I'm going to elect to hold this with my right hand. I'm right-handed. I'm going to tack it with my left hand. I'm going to hold it in with my right hand. Yeah, that's getting it in more. I see I need to adjust the camera a little bit. Yep. Okay, I put like a medium to hot tack right there. I'll show you the tacks in a minute. I was pretty happy with that tack. It was like hot enough to do the job, but I wasn't overdoing it. Now I'm going to put a tack at what we're calling 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And I'm always wanting to prep my electrode. Apparently that's something I have to do every time. That was a really hot tack. But I like it hot because I hate cold welds. I sure have a hard time getting the arc started on this material. Next time I should wipe it down with acetone. That worked, but at one point it was threatening to burn a hole. So let's take a look at the tacks we got there. I will take a minute to knock the slag off, because I want to do that because later, obviously when I weld on it, I don't like welding over slag. This is the tack that almost started to burn a hole. That is another tack that has a crater in the middle. That tack looks good if a little cold. And that tack to me looks okay. So I'm going to go over it now with some emery cloth. This is 80 grit. Oh man, it's hot. Ow. Okay, since it's hot, I'm going to let it cool. And I'm going to work on another tube. Nah, it's fine. I do have a quench bucket there. I could dip it. I'm going to go dip it in the quench bucket. That seems like it introduces an electrocution risk. At this point, I'm going to put the camera looking straight down the tube so you can see the orange on the inside of the weld penetrating the inside. I hope that works. So for starters here, I can see that I can go 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock with a new electrode. And I have that water there, and so I'm thinking about the electrocution risk. I have gloves, I have rubber soles, so I think I'm good. Wow, that was freaking hot. I don't think I could have welded that any hotter. Let's make sure this camera's lined up with the tube. I'm hoping that you see an orange arc in there. What I think I should do now is weld the other side, 180 degrees away from that. And I'll see if I can sit in the chair. Not to be lazy, but to be stable. And I'm always prepping my electrode. It's like 7018. Got the slag on the electrode makes it hard to restart. Now what I'm going to do is 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And I'm inclined to go, say, uphill. I've changed my mind. I'm going to go downhill. Yeah, I don't understand why it's doing that. It only seems to do that with a long electrode. Okay, I welded that really hot and it worked out really nicely. I think the reason it's not starting is because if you look at the box of electrodes, it says you can run in between 35 and 60 amps. Let me check that. These 1/16 7014s, it says you can, the amperage range is 35 to 60, and I have it at 32. So I'm going to change it to 35, and hopefully I don't start burning holes. I'm going to set the dig to 30%. So now I'm going along with what the package says is between at least 35 amps. And maybe that'll help me with my arc starts. Here I have this. It has some haze. So I'm going to clean the material a little bit. And I don't mind doing that because it gets a chance to cool, because this tubing heats up fast. Again, this is crew tubing, muffler tubing. All right, what we have here is 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and I don't know if I'm going to go up or downhill yet. Looks like uphill will serve. Man, I can't believe that didn't burn a hole. I was welding that so hot. Dang, if I would have ran that any hotter, it would have burned a hole. So what I have now is 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And I need to prep my electrode. I'm just so surprised that I'm not burning a hole because I'm just roasting that seam. So I'm going to see if I can sit down. Again, not being lazy, I'm just looking for some stability. Last time I went up, I think, and it worked. So here I think I want to go down. I'll have to Google how you run 7014. Like 7018 you can go vertical up, and this is 7014, so I'll go vertical up. So there I was running it really hot and it did burn a hole. There might have been a little bit of a gap. So I did burn a bit of a hole, which I will repair now. Okay, I didn't repair it, I made it worse. So I guess I should have let it cool first. So I am going to let it cool and I will fix that hole later. So now I'm going to continue on. Guess this pipe's heating up a little bit. I'm going to move the camera. Obviously, I'm just extending things here. Just going to do the same thing that I just did. Here's the hole I just burned. It's friggin' ugly. I will fix it later though. So for the tack, I have learned that I want a short electrode. Right here. I've still got lots of tubing that's prepped. And when I use this angle to tack it, it seems to work pretty well. That was a hot tack. Certainly hot enough. It opened up a gap on the other side, so when I come to the other side, I'm going to have to push it in. This is what happened last time. I pushed it in with my right hand and made the tack weld with my left hand. And it worked pretty well. Like I said, I need a pipe vise. That's a good tack. That tack's going to hold. I got quite a gap over here. It's terrible. Okay, well that took care of it. That was a nice hot tack. So now I have pretty decent fit up. Yeah, I'm just burning those tacks in there. Very hot. That went pretty badly. It started to burn a hole. So I'm going to have to let that cool. That was messed up. Too much heat. Let's see how hot this thing's getting. It's not terribly hot. I'm going to quench it though. This was where I tried to do the tack and it burned a hole. So I'm going to put that at 12 o'clock. And now I'm going to remove the slag from the tack welds. This is what we got. We got a OK tack, which has a crater in the middle. Another tack, which has a crater in the middle. Another tack, which started to burn a hole because it did have a bit of a gap there. And then another tack, which I like. And not the most clean material. crud. This is terrible. Terrible, terrible. Okay, so I'm going to put the camera here, and we'll be looking for that orange glow in the tube. What I'm going to do for starters is I'm going to try to fix that hole. I've been able to fix the holes in the 7014 by swirling around it. And now that I just quenched it, it's not hot, so I ought to be able to build up some material there. Okay, that worked beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. The next area I'm welding up at 12 o'clock has a bit of a gap. I'm a little worried about it. Yeah, I did that really hot and it went fine. So logic would tell me to work at 6 o'clock since I just worked at 12 o'clock. You notice now that everything's heated up a bit, I'm getting easier arc starts. Yeah, I burned a hole. I think I burned a hole. Yeah, I sure did. I'm having a problem burning holes at 6 o'clock. So that's not good. Yeah, I did that really hot and it worked out fine. Maybe a bit of undercut, which I'll show you. I also inhaled a bunch of smoke. Not very healthy. So we're done from like 10 o'clock to 3:30. Got a big hole at 6 o'clock. So now I'm going to do another pass here because I know there's undercut there. Okay, that filled it, and that was also really hot. I've got 7014 electrodes all over the place. I just have to reach out and there's one ready for me to pick up. I'm inclined to sit down at this point. I have a significant gap. I guess I'm going to go vertical up. Now I did burn holes all over the place there, and I knew that I had a big gap, and so I moved really fast, but it didn't matter, it just burned all kinds of holes. So if I have a gap, I have holes. I have holes at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock, and I'm going to fix those holes now. I am going to turn it to where it's more comfortable for me to fix the holes. Take a look at this. Looking straight on at the screen, you got a hole and a hole from where there was a gap, and then another hole, and then a part that I didn't weld yet, and then a good looking bead. Continues to be a serviceable bead. So I'm going to quench it. I think that quenching is helping, and I haven't gotten electrocuted yet. I'm going to put the holes at 12 o'clock. I've got a lot of holes here to fix. Now I've had a lot of practice fixing holes with TIG. Holes with stick, that's new to me. So let's see about fixing some holes here. Start with a new electrode. I'm going to turn down the amperage a little bit. I turned it back down to 32 because when I turned it up to 35, I was burning holes. So now the amperage is 32. So now I'm just fixing holes. Okay, so I built up some material on the sides, and I'm going to move and work somewhere else, because now it's heating up. I'm also not a fan at all of welding on slag, so I'll probably knock that slag off. So what I'm going to do is just build up this area over the hole. I'll show you the before and the after. That's a hole that's half repaired. This is the holes I'm fixing now. And I think I'm pretty much refusing to weld on slag. So what I did is, again, I've never been trained on this, I'm just guessing. I'm just doing a little swirly, like a volcano, one like that. So that worked out okay, I guess. And I said I wasn't going to weld on slag, so I'll just stay away from the slag. That seemed to work okay. This seam has some issues. I got a hole here, here, and here, so I'm going to fill those now. Okay, I could put stuff on there, but I said I'm not going to weld on slag. That worked out very nicely. So now that I've done this, I can come back over here, but there's slag. Well, oh, get off all the slag. I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to quench. That's the one I was just working on. Hull repair. Just ugly welding. I mean, just friggin' nightmare. But that encourages me right there. And then more ugly welds. This is the hole I'm working on now. So I'm going to quench. I keep the quenching bucket far away because I don't want to electrocute myself. So I'm fixing this hole. I have a hard time clamping with my gloves on. I'll have to work on that. Alright. Fixing a hole on a cool pipe, so that'll be pretty easy. So that definitely filled the hole, but it seems like it felt like it was cold putting it in there. As I recall, this had an area that hasn't been welded yet. This is all good. And what it is it's 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So I guess I decided to go vertical up with the 7014. I did that super hot and it did not burn a hole. Man, I'm surprised that didn't burn a hole. So I'm just going to keep this going. Guess I'm building a long pipe. On second thought, I'm going to start this pipe by itself because I can put the camera down there and you can see the orange glow. So now I'm have a habit of taking my gloves off when I clamp. Okay. Since I did that, I guess I'll put the camera here and see if we can, you can see the orange glow of the tack welds. I'm just seeing if I can get good fit up here. I sure can. So here we go about tacking. And I haven't been able to tack with a new electrode, so I'm using an electrode that's about 4 inches long. I think that's why a lot of people don't like these 1/16 electrodes, is because they do move around a bit. And I'm sure that's why they don't make them any smaller than 1/16. Would that be 1/32? You're not finding any 1/32 thick electrodes. It looks like I'm ready to tack. That was a really hot tack. I realize now that the reason that's doing that is because I used a new tube and it was cold or room temperature, and the electrode just didn't have enough amperage to get a good tack. So next time I do that, which is now, I'm going to turn it up to 35 amps so that I can strike an arc. It's because the material is basically cold, if you would consider 70 degrees cold. So now I'm giving it a few more amps. It was at 32, and now I'm taking her up to 35. I have the dig set to 30%. I don't know the official dig setting for 7014. I know you set the dig to 30% for 7018 and between 50 and 60% for 6010 and 6011. But nobody's ever told me what to set the arc force to for 7014. I'm going to have to push this in, because when I tacked here, it opened up a gap. So hopefully when I push it in, it won't break. And I'm having to tack left-handed, but that doesn't really bother me much. I'm having to expose a little more metal of this electrode. You can see I'm having a hard time getting an arc started with this 7014 electrode that has some slag on the end. And this tube is not warm, not even warm. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to do it right-handed. Okay, well now it's becoming a challenge. I don't think the problem is my ground. I wouldn't even have this problem if I had a pipe vise. All right, well you're going to get a good view of this. Actually, maybe not, because the clamp's in the way. Just trying to tack. Okay, I put a nice hot tack in there. Look at my tack. It's on top at 12 o'clock. It looks cold and it has a crater in the middle. At this point I'm going to put the camera back here because I think it's good to see the orange glow on the inside of the tube. Going to get 2 more tacks and weld it out. That was a really hot tack. And it has a crater in the middle. I like stuff that's hot. Like I said, I don't like cold welds. That was a nice tack. So now I'm going to start with a new electrode. I'm considering whether or not to prep. And now I'm grabbing the brush and I'm going to just wipe it off a little bit. Maybe knock off some slag. Well, you thought I would have learned when I did that before. Got clamping issues. I actually don't mind doing that because I am really opposed to welding over slag. Next time I do this, I'm going to have the acetone handy. This is what we have now. Looks pretty good. The fit up looks great. I ought to be able to knock that out. Oh my goodness. I need clamping help. And like I say, I'm putting the camera like this for the orange glow. So right now I have it set to 35 amps. I don't like that. I just did that for tacks. I'm going to set it to 32 amps. Oh, I don't think this part here is difficult. I do like to do it nice and hot. With what's going on here with the practice, I don't care if I burn a hole. And you'll see that it's hot because you'll see the orange glow in the camera. Right now, what we got going on is 12 o'clock to somewhere down near 3 o'clock. I'm going to go to 2 o'clock. I got a little greedy and I went down to 3 o'clock and it worked out pretty well. I may have been risking burning a hole, but that's what I did. Now I'm going to go work on the opposite side of the pipe. I want to sit in the chair. It looks like it's going to be really easy to go from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Yeah, that was keyholing like a mother. So if I would have done that any slower or had just a little more amperage, it would have burned a hole. Now what I'm going to do is stay where I am. Nope, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to make an attempt to work on the other side of the pipe. This looks like it's going to be more difficult. I'm going to try to go from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Here I am prepping my electrode. 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I can't see the seam very well. Can't see very well. I won't make it to 6. I'm only going to go 3 to 4:30. I could have gotten greedy and I decided not to. Now I'm going to work at 6 o'clock, and I've had a problem burning holes at 6 o'clock, so I guess I have the choice of either working faster or turning down the welder. I'm going to choose to work faster. Let me see how it looks down there at 6 o'clock. Looks like it's ready to go. Looks like I'll be able to come around like this and work fast. Okay, I worked fast and looks like I got it. Maybe a little inadequate. I need to have just a little bit here where I missed. So now I'm doing a tack weld. And I chose to do it really hot. Yeah, that looks like it might be okay. There's one more spot here I'm going to hit again, which is another tack weld. Yeah, I did that really hot. I put a lot of material in there. And I think I missed my target a little bit, so I have to go back and try to do that one area now, which is basically just a tack weld. Okay, well there's certainly enough material there now. And now just to finish it up, I got a real easy thing from 10 to 12, really easy. And I'm going to go vertical up. And it went really slow and it keyholed like a mother. So that was good, except might be a little bit of undercut, so I'm going to do another pass here over the slag. Boo. I've got to break the habit of welding over slag. That's an amateur move. So I'm going to take a little break here, let this pipe cool.